Welcome to In the Real. This is Eric. Yes, I have an avatar, a strange one at that. This is my first one using an avatar, so bear with me. I made a strange looking being. I guess you could call it female, even though I am male. And yes, I'm using anime's free version because I don't do this for money. So, it's been a while. Appreciate y'all tuning in here. This is probably the 15th or 25th recording I've done. If this one gets posted, cool. I have been reluctant because, well, there's a lot of snowflakes in the world, and I'm just not in the mood to deal with silliness. But as always, the disclaimer here, I'm the only a-hole here. We do not need any in the comment section, so be constructive, be considerate, and if you can't, don't bother, because I'll just delete you. I don't want to hear your garbage. I don't want anybody else to hear it either. So I do realize it's a one-way conversation, and it is what it is. But this is just an opinion. These are thoughts. These aren't facts. So relax. I did take some information. That's why I have an avatar here. People said you got a video when you're talking, and well, I don't want my face known to people. That's just unimportant. So this is the best face you get. But moving forward, in the news, my goodness. Well, up here in the north, it certainly is getting nice weather-wise. Got the watercraft out ready to go. Had to wash off last year because I was unable to accomplish that before storing it. And yeah, she's looking shiny. Ready to go fishing and skiing and all that other fun stuff. But how about Alec Baldwin? My, 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 my. So if you don't know what's going on with Mr. Baldwin, so he was shooting a movie. What, got to be a year plus now? I think it was called Rust. Obviously, a western. Well, I suppose it doesn't have to be obvious, but it was a western. And during the process of, I guess, setting up a shot, and I'm not for sure how this has all been determined, is if it's past, setting up a shot that was being done. Um, he his prop, which was a firearm, was what is understood to be called an incidental discharge. Now, do understand that doesn't mean it was an accident. There are no accidents with firearms. I don't care, in my opinion, who you are, celebrity or not. You fire one, it's your responsibility. So that's just that. If it was all of us yahoos down here in the basement, we most certainly would be getting, you know, um, punished for an incidental discharge. So Mr. Moneybags there, he better be doing his time too, in my opinion. Granted, the situation is horrible. You can't say he was doing that on purpose. I mean, I think that's pretty clear. But as I understand it, he's not. He's kind of a opponent, would you call him, to those types of self-defense weapons, and I think being in the movie business, you can have your position. I don't care if you're for them or against them, whatnot. You still need to respect them and understand what they're about. That's the bottom line. You don't have to own one, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't understand them. And when you're working with them, you better understand what they're about and how they work. And when there are safety things in effect, you better be dealing with them. That's just the way it is. Well, obviously, it's in the court system, and whether or not he did what he was supposed to do, or whether other people did or didn't, is the bottom line is what's in your hand. You have a responsibility, and That's the way I understand it, and that's the way it would work for me and you and everybody else in the world. So it should be that way for him as well. Now, as I understand the armor, she, I guess, in the court of law, it was deemed she was a little irresponsible with her doing her job, and so she had some accountability to the matter, and so she, I think, punishment's been laid out for her already. I'm not getting the legalities of the situation, the arguments around that. The bottom line is, if there was a process or a procedure in place, and this tool was getting handed from person to person, and people were supposed to do things they were supposed to do with them, then all of this stuff should be done. There are no shortcuts when it comes to safety in dealing with one of these props. There just isn't. Real life situation or not, you treat it as if it is a highly dangerous piece of equipment. Period. So she probably had her hands in the cookie jar, as it's put, and she's accountable. So do your time and learn. Anyway, so all that's in effect, right? Well, people are up in the air because no, nobody pays attention to the facts. They just hear what they hear and they just go about it. This guy, ended somebody's life and whatnot. It's like, well, yeah, um, but that's not exactly what he set out to do. There's just more behind the information. He's not getting away with anything as we know it yet. I mean, that'll be a different story. So we can't go assuming things like that. And he's still a person who deserves his day in court, just like everybody else. And if it was you in that very same situation, you would want your opportunities to present your case and not have people coming at you and disturbing your sanity in the world. So that being said, I guess this happened in New York. It's been on the old YouTubes, and some individual. Um, there's been some what appears to be like a mock joke things going on with the individual involved with the situation. I don't know if they're real or not. It's just some crazy stuff. But the real situation that occurred that was caught on film was this individual, believed to be a female, was accosting Mr. Baldwin in a coffee shop in New York, trying to get him to say things about what's going on in, was it Israel? And obviously, you shouldn't be chanting for people to be pro one way or the other way. I mean, I'll give my opinion about that situation in a minute here, but you can't be trying to get somebody to say that on a camera. What are you doing? You have your position, keep it to yourself, leave people alone. And so she's pushing for that, and then she's starting to ask him about what happened on Rust, and she's verbalizing it as if he set out to do something bad, he did it and got away with it. It's like, no, you're making a bunch of accusations here. So you're being a pest is what you're doing at best. In a public place, in this person's mind, he's trying to mind his business. You mind your own business. He even asked for you to stop, or at least gave some indication this is enough. He was asking for what it looked like on the camera, an employee to call the police, which it appeared they weren't really doing that. I don't know. There wasn't a lot of data in the camera shot there for that. And then I think he asked her to leave. That was Alec asked her to leave the coffee shop, which understand he doesn't own the business. None of his, not his place to do that. But at the same time, would you say that's an attempt for her or for him to ask her, to, would you stop, leave me alone, please leave me alone, kind of thing? I mean, he should have said those things. Would have been better off. And then he up and makes his way closer to her, distracting as if he's talking to the staff member. And you can see his eyes just get really cocked towards the camera. And then the best thing you can say is that he moved the camera. I can't say he hit it, smacked it, did anything, hit her or anything like that. The video doesn't show that, at least what I've seen. Um, but what you can confidently say is, Alec, you probably shouldn't do those things. Now here's where it gets a little bit on the which side of the fence do you stand on? Well, should she be doing that? Freedom of speech and all this business. Well, you shouldn't be harassing people. You play dumb games, you get dumb prizes. Listen, you wouldn't want that happening to you, so don't do that to other people. And if people are going to go around and say that would never happen to me, or don't. That's not a defense. The projection is, if that was happening to you, do you think you'd be happy about it? The answer is just no. You want to be left alone just like anybody else. So, can she be doing that? Well, was she doing anything? Technically, I don't know that she was doing anything other than accosting him. Until the police get there and sort that out, there's not much you can do. But at the same time, um, you would like to think human beings are smart enough not to push people's buttons, because you kick a dog enough, it's going to bite you. And human beings are dangerous in that way. So understand, if you're going to push people's buttons, things can happen. I'm not saying they should, and I am definitely not saying it was okay that he did what he did. Don't get me wrong. You need to act better than that, Mr. Baldwin, particularly in the hot water you're in. You definitely want to act better than that. But at the same time, I am on the side of saying you deserve what you got, lady. Stop being a PIA, okay? Um, but again, he shouldn't have done that. You didn't deserve that, lady. I can go back and forth on both sides of the fence of this. So, what's the best outcome? Here's my thoughts. She's probably going to file charges, think she's going to get something out of this, and she has a right to do so. She should. And this is what we need. This is what we really need in this country. We need a judge to stand up there, look at the evidence, both sides of the fence. This is a civil case, and go, okay, Mr. Baldwin, it is clear that you um, committed some sort of, I don't know, either assault or battery or something like that, whatever it's going to be, and you're going to have to be punished for that, and your punishment's going to be, I don't know, 15 days in jail and $1,000 fine. Whatever it is, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so it is what it is. And then look to her and say, ma'am, you don't get anything else past this, but you are also going to get 5 days in jail for accosting this person that is just not warranted. That's none of your business. You shouldn't be doing that to people. So you get punished too. That's the way you should do it. They both get punished. Nobody wins. End of story. You're both acting stupid, so you both get stupid prizes. See? That's what we need. But I don't know. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But then, you know what? And here's the sad thing. If this lady doesn't get reprimanded for her conduct, more people are going to do stuff like this. It started off on the internet of people being bullies and thinking they had a place and a position to act that way on the internet because you're, behind a screen and a keyboard. Now you're starting to do it to people's faces, and that is going to really turn messy, because people aren't going to take stuff like that to their face. You gotta watch out. Have some common decency towards human beings. You expect it, so you should give it. But yeah, that's that. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Now, the fun stuff that happened, I think it was on, is his name like Pierce Morgan or something like that? Apparently, there's these videos of an interview of the woman, and it's somebody dressed really silly in a neck brace, and almost looks like they're topless, and they've got silver on their face, crying, "I'm a victim, look what happened to me," and their arms in a cast. I mean, it's just over the top. And I laugh at it. I don't know if it's real or not. And it's, it is what it is. Who knows? So check them out. You could probably find them rather easy, especially on the YouTubes there. Search them. I'd say Google search, but I don't use Google anymore. I recently moved completely off Google's platforms. Well, here we are on YouTube, so not completely, I guess, but I don't use their browsers anymore. I'm looking to move away from the insanity. So different situation there. So yeah, um, so I did touch on the in that story with Mr. Baldwin and the bystander that she was trying to get him to say something in regards to the Israel situation. And here's my position. I was in the military. I I do my job and I would do my job if required of me. It's just that simple. Doesn't mean I want to do it. But there are people making decisions above my head for reasons that I may not know about. Right or wrong is not where you question that until you're in different ranks. So when it comes to that, until you're in that position, you don't have anything to say. And when I say that, do understand, I'm not saying you can't have an opinion about the situation, but just know the information you have is not all of it. You're never going to know all of it. It's just the way that that is. Now, our media, unfortunately, has gotten so political that we really can't trust any of it. And they're just so blatantly dishonest, and they puff all these pieces, and it's ridiculous. You were in the back in the day, you expected the media to produce the facts of situations and maybe uncover factual data that just wasn't being presented freely. And that's what their job was. They had integrity to do stuff like that. And now they're a joke at best. It's I know companies are out to make money. I'm not an idiot, but the news media, you, you can't be about the money. You can't be about who's giving you the paychecks. You need to be centered, and they're not doing that. Okay, our current election situation is boiling down that we're probably got another Trump Biden thing going on. I don't care if you like Biden. I don't care if you like Trump. We've seen 4 years of Trump and we've seen 4 years of Biden. Which one was better? And now I'm not talking about what you think. I want you to use what your experience has been. That is what matters. My experience, the previous 4 years were much better than the current. I know what my grocery bill is. I know what my gas bill is in my cars. All right. I knew what it was pushing 4 to 8 years ago compared to now to 4 years ago. I know the difference. And it's leadership all the way around. That's who gets blamed. That's what good leaders do. They take responsibility for the poor decisions, the bad ones, the bad outcomes. That's just the way it goes. So you you shouldn't decide based on political party. I'm just gonna be honest with you there. There's no difference. There might be a couple of topics in which they're complete opposite on, but you have to understand there are certain things that are just never going to get etched in stone no matter what you do. So stop worrying about that junk and worry about who is looking out for you. Okay? We have hundreds of billions of our dollars, taxpayer money, that's your money, getting sent to some other countries for their business. And our country is suffering. And I don't mean like we're all over here boo hooing with bombs going off. I mean, we're taking the hit for it. We're having to pay more money. We're having to have our higher incomes being less and less because our taxes are going up, our infrastructure costs are going up, our everyday goods prices are going up. You cannot do stuff like that and think that people aren't going to be upset. It's just the way it goes. So use your head when you're considering your vote, is what I'm saying. Um, I'm, I'm not a definitely not a fan of Joe Biden. Um, Kamala Harris, I think, is our vice president. Oh gosh, awful, awful individual. I don't understand. These people are given these opportunities to do great things, and they just screw it up. Okay, so Kamala Harris, if I understand right, if I remember correctly, first female vice president, and I think she's black. I don't know if that's her sole ethnicity or she's um, mixed. I don't know. Of course, we had Barack Obama, black president, or mixed. I don't know what he was either. Um, and so you have all these firsts in our countries, which are great milestones to advance to. But stereotypes get presented or produced, I should say, not presented, produced based on conduct and people's experience with conduct, and we're visual. We're not intending this to be harmful. If green rocks always make us fall down, we judge green rocks as something that make us fall down. So when we see green rocks, we avoid them. Okay, so it isn't to say we have a problem with green rocks. It's just that's how our brains work because we're human beings. Okay, if we eat the wrong berries and we get sick, we avoid berries that color. It could be any shade of that color, and we just avoid them. That's what happens to our brains. Now, it doesn't mean we don't judge people on their characters, because if you're not doing that, you're wrong. You can have a stereotype in your mind, but you can't just judge people that way. You have to give them the opportunity to prove themselves outside of that experience you have. That's just appropriate, and I don't think that's taught much as an understanding in the real world. Everybody goes, "Don't judge people." It's like, no, you judge people every day. If you're going to tell me you don't judge people, you're an effing liar. I'll tell you to your face. You're lying. You judge people all the time. I do it 100 times a minute, and it's fine. I don't say it's a final judgment. It's just a judgment. That's what keeps you alive in the world. So judgment is fine. You just can't start selling it as this is what facts are. No, that's wrong. Big difference. And so what am I talking about here? Well, we have these milestones. We've had the black, first black female vice president, following what, a couple terms of our first black president. And what was taking place out of these situations? You have to do things really, really well, or people are going to judge that poorly, unfortunately. And I'll use Jesse Ventura. We had voted him in to, I think it was governor of Minnesota, a complete non-political person, could have done wonders for people to open their eyes and not go Democrat or Republican. And what did he do? Just screwed things up left and right. Did a couple things right, but people don't remember those things. They just remember all of the screw ups. California got that. We voted in Arnold. Seemingly did a pretty good job. What do they remember? They remember him and the maid in the bedroom. That's it. And that's what I'm talking about. You have to understand, if you're given these chances as a first, you have to be perfect. You have to be dead center always, so that you convince people moving forward this is a safe consideration no matter what. That's all it's about. Kamala Harris has done nothing worth anything in her position. That's not good. Because unfortunately, others, whether they be black or they be female or a combination of both, are going to get looked at as look at what Kamala Harris did. Blah, 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 nothing good. And that's going to harm other people. And that's the unfortunate situation. And it really is. She could have did something great. We can even go back and forth on Barack Obama. Everybody's like, yeah, he did great. Other people are like, he did terrible. You know, again, you have to look at the situations. Overall, well, most presidents don't change much of anything. Um, Unfortunately, the one we have now, major swing problems into some serious, serious issues, which is amazing. But he seems to be a puppet. It was all the people behind the scenes really making the big mess. And what's he worried about? Credit card fees? Hey, that's not anything to scoff at. I mean, they are ridiculous. Resort fees? Oh, ridiculous. But there are bigger problems. Banning TikTok? As far as I'm concerned, go ahead. But not at the expense of $95 billion going to a bunch of other countries. No. No, 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 no. And that's what, clouds people. Oh, we're getting this thing banned because this is bad for people. Yes, it is bad for people. But then it costs us $95 billion on top of it. No. That doesn't have to be included in there. Separate them. It's just, the con game going on here is just ridiculous. But back to the point here of what's going on with the Israel and whatnot. Have a position, but just make sure you know your facts and you get your information. And if you have your information from places like CNN, other national news sites, but not at least 6 of them, you got to get a good half dozen to get a bunch of different perspectives. If you're getting them from just one or two, and you're getting it from X and other social media sites like Facebook and stuff like that, you don't know what's happening. You need to do better research. You can have an opinion, but just understand your opinion is probably not very valuable. So be careful about how hard you push. And listen to other people. Maybe they had better research. Maybe not. But at the end of the day, do you really know what's going on over there? No, you don't. I don't. We don't live there. I've talked to some people from over there that were Uber drivers. And let me tell you, they live a different life. Way different life. They're like 4 to 6 years old, learning how to shoot firearms, carrying them everywhere, maybe going to school. Is any day, any time of the day, some stuff just can happen. And they got to be ready to fight. It's just amazing. It's like, that is a heck of a way to live. We don't understand that kind of living. We don't have that situation. So you can't know what it's like. You don't really know who's right and who's wrong. You're not there. And here's where I'm going to bounce in my personal opinion here. When it comes to organizations, countries, we'll call them right now, if you resorted to violence, you both already lost. When the first round is fired, you both lost. Now, how far do you want to lose? You both should knock it off. There is nothing worth that. So why does it have to come to that? That's always the question. But that's the tough part. You've done it like Ukraine, I think it is, in Russia. I mean, the interview with Putin and Tucker Carlson, that was interesting stuff. I was intrigued. Now, of course, we're getting through a translator. Who's a translator working for? I mean, you can start questioning all this stuff. But it was intriguing. You know, you don't know how these people are until you see them. And granted, it was an interview, and how's he going to conduct himself? Well, he knows this is going to get a lot of views throughout the world, so he does have to conduct himself well and chooses words correctly, and great for doing that. And he presented a lot of history as to why he's doing what he's doing, which was interesting. I was like, oh wow, there's some logic behind his decision making here that is not just on a sheet of paper with some borders drawn on a map. There's stuff behind all this. Wow, that's impressive. Now, is it accurate or not? I have no idea. Does it have to resort to this? Well, I doubt it. I in my opinion, no, it doesn't have to be that way. So why? That means you've already lost. How much are you gonna lose? That's what it comes down to. And the other side too. How much do you want to lose? You're both losing. And no matter who comes out this way and says we've been victorious, the other side's going to say we've been victorious. Neither one of you are. You'd be better off both coming out at the same stage and going, we both lost. I think people would have more respect for that kind of stuff. I'd start to have respect for our current president if he came out on stage one day in the news, just said, listen, this isn't going well. I blah blah blah, whether he says I didn't intend for this to happen this way, I really thought things were better, and apparently they're not. My staff was not leading me in the direction I thought I was going, and we take all responsibility for this failing out. You deserve better, and we need to do better. I'd be like, hey, at least he admitted it. But you know, you know, I wouldn't expect that to ever happen, because people have a hard time saying I don't know and I was wrong. I made a mistake. I don't even know how to fix it. I can't believe that at the time I thought this was the best option and not seeing that there could have been other options. I mean, it is hard to do that. I've looked back in my life often and gone, Jesus, man, I could have taken a different road there. Why? And you just got to learn from that and do better the next time and use that information for the future. That's just what it's for. But hey, I've rambled on here for, gosh, what is it? Just over half an hour. We've talked about Mr. Baldwin's situation, recent one, as well as his one prior to that. And goodness, talked a little bit about the situation with Israel. And goodness, hey, we even brought up a little bit of Russia. All the celebrities that have been coming out of the woodwork now, leaving California because they don't feel safe. Those are the words they're using, people. We don't feel safe in California anymore. We can't stay here with our children and our family. We have to leave. And that's leadership. Leadership. I mean, it's unreal. What are we doing, folks? We need to be doing better. We can do better. I even think that's a dumb thing to say, is we can do better. No, we need to be doing better. Yeah. So, well, folks, I'll cut it short there. I appreciate you taking the time and just listening to me talk about this a little bit. And I encourage you um, to vote for your next presidential election, and don't listen to other people. You listen to yourself. You look at your bank accounts. You look at where it started, where it ended. You look at what you buy at the grocery store, what it costs you, and how much it cost you the last time. Look at your bank statements. Look back 5, 6 years ago and compare. Okay, and understand leadership does these things. Okay, nobody's perfect in the world. And given our two options that are going to lay before us right now, you need the best option that's going to be the best for your financial stability, which is going to be the best for your future. And don't buy into this garbage about global warming business. Let me tell you, I'm a scientist. I'm not going to get into the details of all that. Is our climate changing? Yes. When did it start changing? When the planet was created. Our atmosphere goes through some insane cycles we will never fully understand because we don't have the data to predict what's going on and when it's going to happen. Okay. Is our planet warming up? Very well could be. Why wouldn't it be? But you know what? It's done that in the past, and it's cooled off in the past. It's going to cool off again. Are we going to be here for that? We don't know. Are we killing ourselves that way? No. That's not the situation. And if you're going to talk about improving our atmosphere, you need to talk about doing it globally. Okay? Understand this. If you have a peach that's moldy on one side, you're not eating the other side either. Now, maybe you will. I don't know. I'm not going to. But what I'm trying to say here is our atmosphere moves all the time. Our planet's moving all the time. Whatever happens here will move around elsewhere. So that means the populations, the countries that pay absolutely zero attention to our environment are going to affect us no matter what we do. So does that mean we shouldn't care? No, it doesn't mean that. What we shouldn't do is bankrupt ourselves for foolishness that isn't going to make any difference. It's okay to research these things. It's fine to develop the technology and advance it. Excellent. Excellent thing to do. But you can't rush it because you're going to end up making bigger mistakes and bigger problems. Let it organically move forward. It's just that simple. Our infrastructure, the power grid, cannot handle everybody being on an electric vehicle. It just can't. California's already proven that alone, by themselves. They can't handle it. Doing it for the entire country, never going to work. On top of that, look at the data for these things. Our technology is not there yet for, energy storage and batteries. Okay, because they've done this. They've looked at this information. Take a truck transporting goods. I might get the numbers off here a little bit, but just to understand, I'm going to put numbers that I'm remembering, and I could be off here. One diesel power truck, whatever its weight is, I want to say 30,000 pounds. Okay, 1,500 miles on one fill up, I think. Okay, that same cargo will be loaded onto 4 electric trucks because the vehicles themselves weigh so much they can't handle as much cargo. So already you're taking one truck and turning it into 4. Well, that energy is still being produced for the batteries in those trucks, so they have that energy has to get made. I know everybody windmills and solar, so those things aren't efficient enough. We need other power plants, which are just as bad as burning fuel. So you're not saving anything. Okay, then They get about 3, and I think the max has been 400 miles. Well, that's all 4 of them only get that far. And then they have to charge for 10 hours. Well, that one truck, 1,500 miles, and he makes it that distance in like 4 hours, I want to say it was. That's it, about 60 miles an hour. And 10 hours is 600 miles. So that can't be right. So that'd be like 20 some hours for 1,200 miles. So 20, 22, 23, maybe 25. We'll call it 25. Okay. And those trucks in 20 hours, all 4 of them, in 20 hours, well, 20 plus the time of travel, so you're talking about 25 hours, they're not even going to make it 800 miles. And so they're not even to the same point. And they still have to charge again before they even get to the same 1,500 miles. By the time they get there, the other truck's already delivered its stuff. Depending upon how far it's going. But so that's just not efficient. That's worse because the batteries don't last as long because they're charge up, discharge, charge up, discharge. A lot of heat involved there. Okay, the tires wear out faster. A lot of people don't know that about electric vehicles. You're almost replacing your tires every year. Okay, one of my cars just had a flat today. The tires are 7 years old. They're not even half worn out yet. Matter of fact, the inside started cracking. That's why it had a leak. The tires aren't even wore out yet. That one in particular is not driven that much. But if it was an electric car, it had to be replaced in 2 years for me. So I've got more than one car, so it doesn't get driven a lot. But if you were to drive the standard that most people drive nowadays in one electric car, new tires every year, and they're bigger tires. Yeah, because those things are heavy cars. Wears the tires out faster. It's just how it is. Just how it is, people. You have to know what you're talking about. And these are just some of the downfalls. There are some great things too. It is, don't get me wrong. I mean, the electric cars are great if you're a very short traveling person. That thing works out great for you. You charge it once a week, maybe every other week. Our northern environment here, I've known some people that doesn't work out so well because normally they charge their car once a week, and in the winter it's almost every day because the charge is keeping the cold and it takes so long to recharge. Because their garage isn't heated. I don't even know if that would help. I mean, it would help for the charge process if there was climate control in their garage, but when they leave, that's it's going to make a mess. So, I mean, there's pros and cons. So you can't just think that's going to solve everybody's problems and think that we're all going to be better for it. We're not, because those other countries that don't care are going to keep polluting everything. So it doesn't matter. And we're subject to that pollution just the same because we're on the same planet in the same atmosphere. Okay? So, well, there's another 10 minutes of rambling. So, get yourself an electric car if you want. Just don't sell me that stuff. I'm not interested. It's not for me. It won't work out for me. Use your head when you're voting. You can write in a name if you want. And let's look at the reality of it. That's a wasted vote. You write somebody in, I write somebody in, it's not the same person, nobody's going to care. So, it's unfortunate our system's like that. But, yeah, it is. It's just unreal. But, yeah. So, wish you all well. Again, thank you for joining me for this about 45-ish minutes here. I appreciate your time. And do come back and subscribe if you want. I mean, I like I mentioned early on, this is probably the 20th some one that I've recorded, and this one I'm feeling pretty good that I haven't really said much that people get whipped up about, but you just never know. And I don't want to deal with this stupidity. I just don't have it in me. So hopefully this one makes it on. And it's my first one with a video too, so um, hopefully that was fun. All right. Wish you all well. Enjoy your evening, your day, your morning, whenever you're listening to this. Have a great week, weekend, month, summer, whatever it is. And we will talk to you again. This is Eric with In the Real.